Do you suffer from anxiety, from depression, maybe even chronic pain? Well, listen up. Truth Be Told is going to tell you about a breakthrough program built on over 100 years of therapies used in America's returning veterans to help you successfully overcome PTSD, anxiety attacks, pain, and depression. The secret proven in study after study. Music therapy. The effects of music are nothing short of amazing. From strokes to PTSD, music has been shown to improve the quality of life. Now, one of the latest music therapy programs being used in America's veteran hospitals can be yours to experience for free, at home, and to help your own anxiety attacks, pain, and depression. Or just relax after a hard day. It's called Whole Tones. It takes music therapy to a new level. This revolutionary program makes use of specifically designed frequencies that have been shown to stimulate your body's natural healing power down to a cellular level. If it works for battle-scarred vets, can it work for you? Well, experience it for yourself for free at sweetwholetones.com. Like Tony Sweet, that's S-W-E-E-T. Go to sweetwholetones.com. Now enjoy the show. Hello and welcome to Truth Be Told with Tony and Eddie, where we believe in experience becomes truth. I'm your host, Tony Sweet, and joining me now in studio while Eddie is on tour in Peru, we have producer, radio host, and filmmaker Dean Ryan is in the house. Well, you know, as we know by now that our political system we have is not only broken, but it's corrupt. And I say this, once upon a time, in our country once had laws that made it illegal to have a monopoly in business, but that changed under the Reagan administration. The reason I say that because in our elections, it is rare we get to hear from any other party except for the Democrats and the Republicans. Today we are in for a treat because we have a vice presidential candidate from the Libertarian Party live in studio. Judd Weiss, who is the running mate of presidential candidate John McAfee, is here to talk to us about their platform, their solutions, and their thoughts on the current frontrunners. Judd is very open about how he feels about his own party and why he chooses the Libertarian Party. Judd is an entrepreneur, and he's a very successful real estate broker here in Los Angeles. We are so excited to have him in studios. Lots to talk about, so let's get this show going. Please welcome Vice Presidential Candidate Judd Weiss and guest hosting today, Dean Ryan, to Truth Be Told. Oh, guys, we have a vice presidential candidate on the show. Oh, my God, this is great. Hey, Judd, how you doing?
Hey, Dean, thanks for having me.
Well, Dean, I want to thank Dean real quick because Dean has put this last 2 hours together, and amazing first guest, and I can't wait to talk to Judd right now. And Dean, I'm going to let you lead off because, again, you put this all together, and you know your business here.
Well, and I can't see any videos, so I just assumed it's Dean and Elvis, right?
Yeah, Elvis still here from the last segment.
What's up, Judd?
Hey, guys.
Well, Tony, I've known Judd for a few years, and he's an incredible photographer, and many people kind of in the libertarian scene, you'll see his pictures all over the place. He goes to all the conventions and all the rallies and all these different functions all over the world, and very, very talented. He does black and white photos. And he invited me to a John McAfee presidential fundraiser, a cocktail party. And I know John McAfee, or the story, and I thought it'd be interesting. And we had a great time. Actually, Elvis was with me as well. And Judd made this surprise announcement that he was going to be running as John McAfee's vice president. And I was like, wow. That's incredible. I actually know someone who could potentially be in the White House. But more than that, the platform of not only what the Libertarian Party stands for, but what John McAfee and Judd Weiss stand for is something that really resonates with me, of individual civil liberties, free markets, non-interventionisms into other people's business all over the world, and stuff like that. Very common sense things that you really don't hear from the two-party dictatorship.
I don't know what you're talking about.
But more importantly, Judd's just a really great guy, and I said, Judd, I'd love to get your message and your story out there, and that's why he's on Truth Be Told.
Yes. Yeah. Well, Judd, I have a question. This is Tony, and just because I know you're not seeing the screen, but my question is, were you, really political before this, or were you kind of, slowly, gradually kind of picked up the political bug, I guess.
Definitely. I've been into this since I was in high school. I would show up at Libertarian Party like meetups at Denny's Cafe with like I don't know, 20 or so people, and me and my friend were the only teenagers there. It was a bunch of old people. So this was back in like
So Dean
must have
was
been
there.
like 95, 96 or something like that.
World War II.
I was like 15 or 16. So I've been in this for a while. Yes, definitely. I was going to conferences even back when I was like 19, 20. And I kind of stepped away from the scene for a long time. And I made a lot of money at that time. So that was a good thing. I'm actually glad I did. But I came back in a big way in around 2009 or so. I've gotten really good with a camera, so now all of a sudden everybody's flying me out to these different events all over the country and all over the world to take photos. And it's just a hobby. I'm not a photographer, at least not a professional photographer, but I've gotten pretty good. And I'm like wondering, why not take beautiful artistic photos of the people in the scene and really dramatize like the legends that are laying down the framework for a society of more liberty, a more voluntary, peaceful society. Why not treat them not like those photobombing nerds that people kind of want to avoid, but how do we actually treat them more like, legends, like the people that are laying down the groundwork? That's kind of what I did with photos. In fact, I want to just say something on that. If you can imagine, like my whole thing on photography is the lowest level thing you can do with a camera is to document. Documenting you can do with a security camera. There's nothing exciting about that. But if I want you to think about it, what would you rather do? To read a bunch of documents or watch a story of legends? And that's the difference with my photography. And that's gotten really popular. So it's brought that me with my camera. I've had a really big impact, and I've been brought out to just that electrical device in my hand has pulled me all over the country and all over the world. Everybody's asking me to shoot their events now because I made it look like art pieces. And now there's like 25,000 Facebook profile photos out there.
Wow.
They're like all over LinkedIn, book jackets, websites. When I read articles online, now I scroll down and I see the authors using one of my photos I took. They're like Wikipedia. And what makes me really proud is they're all over Tinder.
Yeah.
Because girls
Now
are
I know
swiping
where I
right.
saw them.
That's where it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Girls are swiping
it.
right to libertarians now, man. That's
Yeah.
something that's new.
Yeah.
Did you have a question?
Well, I was going to say, Judd, the political climate season is just so explosive, especially what's going on.
Oh my God! Yeah.
Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. Sorry, excuse me.
Donald Trump? What?
But what for people that are watching this who probably don't know anything about Libertarian Party or anything, how would you explain what the Libertarian Party is all about? Number one. Number two, how would you explain kind of what your ticket of the McAfee Weiss ticket campaign is all about?
Sure. Libertarian Party is promoting libertarian philosophy. And just what libertarianism is that we believe liberty is a framework that society should live under. And liberty, what is that? It's very simple. Don't hurt people. Enjoy your life. That's liberty. It's very simple. Your life is yours. Do whatever you want as long as you don't harm people and respect that they have the right to do whatever they want with their life.
So
That's very simple.
So that's what they were talking about in the Constitution: life, liberty,
Yeah,
the pursuit
exactly.
of happiness.
What?
It's the foundation of our country in a lot of ways.
Wow.
I like to say those who do harm should be restricted. Those who do no harm should live free.
Wow.
And so our motto is let life live. That's our slogan for the campaign.
So my question, when you say a political party, I mean, there's always that negative tone to it. I mean, these days it's just, oh my God,
Because
he's a
politics are
politician.
dirty.
Right.
No, as it should be. That's well deserved.
Right.
Negative tone. It's usually actually a gag reflex.
That's why I'm joking.
But I was reading something on your page about what you were saying about the Libertarian Party, and I was kind of thrown off a little bit. Could you explain what you said about the Libertarian Party?
The Libertarian Party is still a party, a political party, and political parties, any political contest is a zero-sum game. So if I'm doing well, that's the same exact thing as if I hurt my competitor. It doesn't make any difference. In our economy is not a zero-sum game. So if I do well, it's actually like I'm bringing more to the table to the economy. I'm not hurting anybody. But in politics, you are hurting somebody by doing well. So attack ads or running a positive campaign are pretty much the same. And a lot of people just go the attack route. And so since we have all these contests, people are galvanizing themselves, whether they're running for internal party positions, and then everybody's like, you're on like in summer camp, you're in Eagles cabin, you're on the Bears cabin, you're in the Fox cabin, or whatever it is, and all of a sudden everybody's very competitive with each other, and then it splits up different ways where you have people competing for who's on. Who's going to be supporting me or versus him on our internal Libertarian Party race for, let's say, state chair or national chair or whatever the race is, or treasurer or whatever it is. And then there's other people that are going to be running for different office positions,
Right.
for mayor, for state senator, for president. And so everybody is like lining up on their teams, and sometimes those teams overlap, and it's causing all this fighting just because of the divisive nature of politics in general, because it's a zero-sum game. So so what I said, and people were just shocked that I would say this while I'm running for the VP nomination of the party. But
I
said
actually when I saw it.
I refuse to believe it. I think you're still pulling my leg.
Yeah, I mean, the truth is that I've been around the whole Liberty scene. I've been flown everywhere to take pictures, and I've seen the entire scene. I've been behind enemy lines like nobody else has, because there's a lot of bickering nerds in any intellectual movement, and they fight with each other over.
That's very true, Judd. And specifically, as kind of someone that's just always observed the Libertarian Party, there's a major wedge, and I know you can talk about this, between what people call themselves as anarcho-capitalist and libertarians. There's like it's almost like watching vegetarians and vegans fight each other to the nail.
Oh yeah.
The anarchists who want capitalism, and then the libertarians that want very, very little government, who get ridiculed and called minarchists. I mean, can you talk about that? Because I've seen some of the infighting, the leaked emails. I mean, between people, and I'll say some names like Christopher Cantwell versus Adam Kokesh, and all these things. It's almost like watching wrestling. It's just very fascinating.
It's not much different. Yeah, WWF wrestling, WWE, it's very similar. So I said that the Libertarian Party, I've seen the whole movement, and the Libertarian Party, in my opinion, is by far the biggest sinkhole of time, energy, money, and resources, and emotion in the entire Liberty movement. Useless would be an improvement for the Libertarian Party. I wish they were useless. That would be better. But the Libertarian Party has become the cage match arena where libertarians fight with each other over positions of no power. It's really embarrassing. And I'm saying this with a broken heart, because I really care about this. We're trying to move things forward and have a better world, and fighting with each other with our limited resources is a terrible use of them. So there's a lot of infighting, because the truth is, this happens in any intellectual scene. This is not limited to libertarians. There's a lot of infighting on the left. Look how many ways the church is split up. This is absolutely normal. If you go online, you can see people fighting over PC users and Mac users, dog lovers and cat lovers. I mean, people will fight over anything. This is absolutely normal. But the problem is that we have a movement that's predominantly intellectuals, and that's great. And so we've got this, what people are calling a war between the moderates and the purists. And I'm here to say that that's absolutely not true. There is absolutely no war between the moderates and the purists. That doesn't exist. But there is a war. It's just that's the wrong understanding. There is a war. It's between the salesmen and the engineers. And right now, what I want you to do, think about, is imagine what would happen if a car company says, screw these sales guys. The engineers designed the product. They know this product like the back of their hand. They know it better than any of the sales guys we could train. Let's just fire all the salesmen and have the engineers sell direct on the showroom floor. Can you imagine what would happen?
Right. And
we would have the Liberty Movement, because that's what we are.
But the one thing that does worry me about the Libertarian Party is you're getting these former and current, like George Bush neocons, that are now leaving the GOP, as Tony, and We're watching the GOP implode. Now they're going to try to find another party that has all ballot access. I see a lot of those people coming to the Libertarian Party, and I think people that are libertarians need to be very wary of those kind of dogmas tainting, a very pure, well-to-do party.
Well, they
It's
have no
libertarians.
shot at changing the party platform. But if they want to come in and offer resources, thank God, great. Be part of the family. Understand that there's disputes among family members, and we're going to have disagreements. But yeah, we need all hands on deck. There's no possible way we're going to ever win an election or a national election if we don't have a lot of people on board. But I'm building a unity coalition of people that have very different opinions within the liberty scene. So for example, I've got endorsements now from objectivists, high-ranking objectivists, anarchists who used to be fighting with objectivists for a long time, Ron Paul Republicans. I'm really building a coalition of very different groups.
Judd, you got to explain what an objectivist is. We're talking to an audience that is,
Right.
mainly very LA audience, some of them, and, people outside of the United States.
Sure,
Explain what
sure.
that
So
is.
objectivists are people that've gotten into this through Ayn Rand, and actually that includes me. I got a copy of Anthem when I was 14, and Anthem is a book by Ayn Rand. It's a very, very short novelette. You can read it in a couple hours, and that's what set me off in this movement. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Ayn Rand. And what objectivism is, it's the philosophy that Ayn Rand put forward that explained why liberty is important. So a lot of people have this belief in liberty, but why? Why do we need liberty? Why is it important? What does liberty even do for us? And Ayn Rand's philosophy really drives that home, that liberty is absolutely essential because of our human nature, because we have an ability to think. And since we have an ability to think and reason, it's appropriate that we interact with each other based off of that we negotiate and we persuade instead of forcing each other, and that we have the rights to live based off of our own decisions. That's what's appropriate to humanity. So there's more to objectivism than that, but that's how objectivism really interfaces with the philosophy of liberty. Why is liberty important? Because that is the best way for humans to interact with each other. It is the most appropriate way to treat humans like humans. So there's a little bit of philosophy behind it if you go into objectivism. But you know what? Ron Paul Republicans aren't libertarian or aren't objectivists, and there's a lot of Christian, religious people of all different sects and beliefs that are libertarians, and that's great. Objectivism is one philosophy that's really widespread within the liberty movement, but they are not anarchists. For the most part, there's certain offshoots that are now like anarchist, objectivist, and on that subject, so there's anarchist libertarians, and the anarchists believe that government is the problem, government is the cancer, and that cutting down government to, let's say, any kind of minimal government, you're still leaving 5% of the cancer there, even if you cut 95%.
Now, when you say anarchists, are we talking about the people that have rocks and the Molotov cocktails and are starting riots?
No, we're talking about the intellectual anarcho-capitalists.
Right, and I know that, I'm just saying for the audience that are confused.
I agree. We should keep very clear on what we're talking about.
Right, because, we know what an anarchist is, and then so does Fox News.
Right.
So we got to differentiate the two.
Right. There's a lot of communist anarchists, actually. They're very socialist anarchists that believe in living on communes and that everybody shares and that there is no hierarchy or status whatsoever within society. Anarcho-capitalists have nothing to do with that. Anarcho-capitalists are anarchists that believe simply in no government and that people can rise and grow. They believe in capitalism. They're anarcho-capitalists. So it's a different ideology behind that. They both believe in no government, but the communist anarchists often, like Marx, believed that the state would wither away after we implement communism. Once humanity has learned to be more communal, we don't need the government as much anymore. But those are all, we're getting a little bit esoteric here. The point is that I don't call myself an anarchist. because I consider myself a libertarian. I want the most voluntary society possible. That's what I'm promoting.
Judd, can I ask you a question? Because like I don't know jack shit about politics.
Okay.
So I guess I'm kind of layman's terms here, but from what I think I'm getting is that basically, you know, your party or the libertarian side, and then your whole plan is basically to, you know, live, work, and play together, treating each other kind and not screwing each other over, and you know, building a better future, you know, on that premise. Is that correct?
Yeah, let life live. It's like kind of a play on live and let live.
Right.
And
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that makes sense then, because that's what I mean, like I said, I don't know anything about this, and I'm sure there's some people listening that don't either.
Right.
And that
it's
comes
like
down to your pocketbook and your social life. Whether you want to smoke drugs, smoke weed, enjoy your life, whatever you want to do, as long as you're not hurting anybody, it's your choice, even in business.
All right. So basically, yeah, that sounds awesome then. So basically, be good, and then that's versus what we have now, which is pretty much like Ghostbusters 2.
Thank God you didn't say 3.
Yeah, I know.
It's,
Well, no,
it's-
2 when
looks
they
like a disaster.
when they had that you know, the ooze that, like, when it got on everybody and they all got really angry and then everybody just started fighting
right.
and they're yelling at each other. That's kind of what the whole world's going on right now in every field. Everyone's
a lot of
pissed off
ooze.
and fighting, and the political fights and the street fights, and it just seems like everyone's angry with that.
Socially engineered divisions to make it like Hunger Games or something. So we fight each other while they steal from us behind our backs.
It's the angry ooze, man.
mean,
versus,
I mean,
let's knock it off and be kind. Like, I think that's.
Well, basically, if you're not hurting anybody, government doesn't interface with you.
That sounds like a pretty good plan.
Yeah, if you're not harming anybody, that's it. So yeah, it's there's no such thing as a victimless crime. If there's no victim, there's no crime.
I have a question, Judd. This,
Sure.
like you said earlier, you said being a libertarian, most likely you're not going to win the election. I mean, you're
Well,
not.
we don't know that, Tony.
No, we
That's-
don't.
You're
know
going
that.
on a limb
At least,
I don't have a fantasy about getting in the White House
Right.
myself. But I
That's
think
my fantasy.
Well, actually, he said if they're not going to win if a large amount of people don't, you know,
Right.
come together
Right.
and say, hey, you know,
if there's not a mass, exit from the Democratic or Republican Party, more than likely you're not going to win. But you have a platform, and the platform is also working into more local and even state governments. Could you tell me, is the Libertarian Party, have they elected a lot of politicians in the local and state?
in a very local level, yeah. But what we're doing with this is we're running a protest campaign and a publicity campaign. We're not going after Midwest housewives. We're targeting youth in a big way. So as far as we're concerned, politics sucks. This is just miserable, and everybody agrees politics sucks. So if the way things have been done is good, that's great. But if the way things are being done is stale and stifling, then I have no regard for it. So I told our graphic designer, the logo cannot look presidential. I want it to be edgy, modern, tech, futurist, sophisticated, but no American flags, red, white, and blue maps and shit like that. 2, our campaign videos are unlike anything anybody has ever seen before in presidential political advertisement. I wanted to come from a totally different galaxy, and they've been getting a lot of reception. I don't know if you guys have seen any of those.
no, but now I want to.
Oh, yeah, that's been blowing up. And we have more coming that just totally disregards the rules of politics. We have no concern for that. And it comes down to our philosophy. Just a lot of these laws are actually criminal. They're the people in the let's just say somebody's smoking weed and enjoying music. Why does that give somebody the right to bust into their home, guns drawn on their family, shoot their dog, pull them out of there and arrest them in a cage where they have to get bail money to get out of there, and then start this miserable process of court proceedings that they're going to get bankrupted and their family is going to get bankrupted, and then they have to find money from other people while they're going through a legal trial, bankrupting themselves. And they're going to lose anyway. They're going to go to jail.
They're going to lose their home.
and then I have to build them a tiny
And
house.
then Elvis
And
has to
they're
build
going
them
to
a
go to
tiny
prison
house.
while they're separated from their friends, family, and source of income at a cost to taxpayers of what, $40,000 a year for their own good.
Yeah, right.
what is this for? This is absolutely insane. Those are the criminals who are doing this. It is not the people smoking pot and listening to music.
But Judd, let me stop you right there, Judd, because I think more than any other election, this is such an amazing time for a libertarian candidate to rise from the ashes of the GOP implosion, and even, I would say, the DNC implosion.
Yeah.
Sorry
Definitely.
to disappoint Tony, but I think this is the time, and I think you guys do have a shot. You know, let me be the voice in the wilderness here to say I think McAfee Weiss ticket can be a prominent voice in the 2016 election, and take all the disgruntled Bernie supporters and disgruntled, can I say Ted Cruz supporters?
Sure.
Okay,
No, we
yeah.
are.
let's pretend.
Yeah,
okay,
we'll pretend it.
some GOP person, and this is the time to really capture them. And actually, we could go all the way. We could get a third party in the national debates. I mean, wouldn't you agree to my assessment there, Judd?
Absolutely, actually. Right now, 40% of the population doesn't want Hillary or Trump as our president. Like 40% absolutely does not want either of them to happen. So we've got an amazing historical opportunity, and right now, Bernie's situation, we are going to pull from the very liberty-oriented constitutional right, like some of the Ted Cruz crowd, a lot of the Ron Paul crowd, and even Rand Paul supporters. But we are also, if you think about it, the Bernie crowd that's hard economic left, we have no shot with. That's not going to happen. But the artists and the festival community, McAfee is a much more appealing option than Clinton, by far. And so we are going to be going after the Bernie crowd in a big way. That's a big
Well, I would
target for
even
us.
say, Judd, too, you have a chance with the civil liberty ACLU crowd on the left.
Oh, yeah,
to
definitely.
capture them as well, and you'll find some of those in the Bernie supporters as well.
Oh, yeah.
Not so much Hillary, but Bernie. You'll probably find that. So I think you can really capture some of those people. as
We'll
well.
do more for them than Bernie could possibly do. McAfee has promised that however long it takes, he will be pardoning all nonviolent drug offenders as his first step.
I think you have a chance just because people are tired of picking the lesser of two evils and don't even know that there's more than two options. And people are just they're tired of the same old song and dance. And when you got other people that are like, hey, this needs to be done differently, and we're here to do that. I think that gives you an incredible chance.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're coming
I know
with
I'm
a
tired
very
of it.
different message, and I think it's going to be really fresh and refreshing to a lot of people. Absolutely, I'm excited about it.
The videos you spoke of, where can I see those?
Well, if you go to my Facebook page and you click, they're up on YouTube and they're up on Facebook, and Facebook is where they've been blowing up. There's this one video where it was called Vote Different, where we did a somewhat of a play on the Apple very famous Think Different ad, Here's to the Crazy Ones. You know that one? And I had McAfee read it, and that's like a song that I like, and I did a cover song, essentially. And that video has gone crazy.
What's your Facebook?
Judd Weiss.
Okay, facebook.com/Judd Weiss.
Yeah. And if you look up Judd Weiss, there's really only one. I hope there's only one. I don't know of another Judd Weiss.
Let me, people who are probably just tuning in, they probably don't know the John McAfee story, and it's an incredible story. I mean, Tony, I'm sure you've covered it a few times.
Yeah, I've heard it, but a lot of people probably don't.
You want me to tell you the story?
Please.
Well, yes, and I think you're the best qualified person to tell it because it is like of gigantic international proportions. He was in another country. He was trying to be framed. They tried to imprison him, and he escaped. I mean, why don't you fill in the audience of kind of who John McAfee is and why, and two more, why John McAfee's running and why is Judd Weiss running with John McAfee? Well,
John McAfee is a maniac, and that's why I love him. If I work very hard one day, hopefully I can be half the maniac that is John McAfee. This guy is a rock star. He's really exciting, dynamic, and engaging, and he's a media figure. And it would be a shame for us not to capture that kind of attention right now. Plus, he's very eloquent when he speaks about these ideas. He comes from a philosophical place, but it's very simple and digestible to a wide audience. The problem I have with Gary Johnson, who's running against us, Gary is a former governor of New Mexico, and he was advocating marijuana legalization as governor, and that's great. I love that. The problem with Gary, a lot of libertarians are upset that he's off on a bunch of ideas and he's saying things that are not very libertarian. I don't have a problem with that stuff. That's not what's bugging me. What's bothering me about Gary is that he's boring as hell, he's super awkward, and nobody's excited about him, not even his own supporters. And it would be such a shame to put this guy up there when we could get so much action and activity around this rock star with McAfee. And we're trying to reimagine politics. We're going to do such cooler stuff. So McAfee, let me tell you his story. He, everybody knows of McAfee antivirus. It's on everybody's computer. He founded that company.
And it won't get off my computer either.
Can't get rid of it.
Let me just tell you that right now.
Right. He hates that software so bad. He actually put out a parody video of how to uninstall that software because he sold his shares in the 90s. Eventually, it was sold to Intel, and he hates how the direction that software has become. So he has nothing to do with that software anymore. However, when he sold his shares in McAfee antivirus, he cashed out $100 million. He was worth $100 million. Then, he was living a rich man's life. He bought a lot of properties. He had like a jet, and he was living the high life. In the financial collapse in 2008, his valuation plummeted from all of his property that he owned to about $4 million. This is insane.
Wow.
However, that's still a good chunk of change. So I don't know if his valuation was exactly $4 million, but he auctioned everything off for about $4 million and went to retire in Belize for the rest of his life. It's a nice warm climate. He's going to enjoy his life in Belize. Cool. But not cool. So he had a problem there. What he did was he bought a bunch of property. He was enjoying his time. There's all these scandalous gotcha articles that started coming out because he was like living with 7 women and he had all these guns everywhere. He's an eccentric character. There's no doubt about that. He's a very eccentric guy. But I want you guys to find me any historical figure of any significance that's not a bit eccentric and rough around the edges. So there is that. But in any case, he's living in Belize, and a politician comes to him and asks for a $2 million donation to his campaign. But it was actually a good deal for McAfee with all this land that was worth way more than $2 million, all these tax breaks, all these benefits. And McAfee doesn't really give a damn. He just didn't want to be a part of it. He told the guy no. And over there in third world nations, you don't do that. You don't tell them no. It's just very corrupt. I've been to Serbia myself, and I saw these houseboat cafes on the river, and every one of them is mafia owned. And you can own one if you're not mafia, but you're going to have to pay the mafia heavy protection money, because if you don't, there will be a grenade in your houseboat cafe the next day. And that's kind of how it works in third world nations. We have corruption in America, but it's even more extreme in a lot of these third world nations. So he told the guy no. To make it clear to McAfee that they weren't joking around, they were serious, they sent 42 heavily armed anti-gang suppression unit military members storming his property. They broke a lot of things, caused a lot of damage. They held him out in the sun for 14 hours, handcuffed. I get upset after 1 hour. I would be pissed off about it. But he was in the sun for 14 hours, handcuffed. And they shot his dog in front of his eyes. He was pissed. They eventually let him go. They left. The next day, this politician that asked for the donation came by and apologized profusely, saying this was a huge mistake. He's very sorry. It was a massive misunderstanding. Have you reconsidered your donation? So McAfee told him to get the fuck off his property. He was pissed.
Wow.
And McAfee's just a strong character. It began a war of words in the media. He started talking to the media about the corruption in Belize. And you shouldn't do that, actually. That's not a smart thing to do when the Belize politicians control the guns and the soldiers. It's not very wise. They started harassing him. Soldiers were planted around his house and properties and stuff like this. It started getting really scary. And then his neighbor was shot. and he thinks that that was a mistaken hit on him. He doesn't know what that was about, but after if you're, you guys live somewhere, imagine dozens of very heavily armed militia storming your house. That would scare you a little bit and probably it's a little bit unnerving. Let's just say that.
They're called LAPD.
Right, but yeah, the police are getting more militarized.
It's
But
not hard to
say
imagine.
They stormed your house, and now they're corrupt, and they're asking you for money, and now you're in the media, and then you find out your neighbor is dead. That would definitely be unnerving. So they questioned all the neighbors. He was wanted for questioning too, but he didn't want to be questioned about it. He didn't trust them, so he just left. He got out of Belize, and there was a manhunt for him. He escaped from these Belizean soldiers, a manhunt through the jungles of Belize, and he ended up getting into Guatemala. He got out of there with bags. He was blogging the whole time, and he didn't even have a charger for his iPad.
Oh my God!
So he got out of there
movie.
with bags. He ended up getting back to America, and he came back to the States penniless, with nothing. He was worth over $100 million a few years before that, and suddenly he got out with his life. Wow. That's what happened. That's a crazy story.
Wow. And then how did you two wind up meeting?
And then just the last thing about that, the last bit of that story is he had his property he wanted to sell in Belize because he still owned it, and he owned it through a trust. And mysteriously, it burned down. None of his neighbors' properties burned down, but his burned to the ground. And that was a very clear message to anybody else there that you don't tell these politicians no when they ask you for something. So yeah, he's actually a hero for what happened in Belize, in my opinion. When people look into what happened. How did I get into to this? How did I get teamed up with him?
Yeah, how did that meeting happen?
I'm known in the Liberty Movement for not just for the photos, but I throw really cool parties at my house in Bel Air. And then Dean was at that party that I threw for McAfee. But I was
allegedly it was.
Allegedly.
Dean
was allegedly there. There's pictures of him there, but it was allegedly.
I think there's a video too.
Yeah.
It was a long night, but allegedly I was there.
Yeah. So I was asked if I would throw a fundraiser for McAfee at my house. And while I'm talking to the campaign manager, as this was developing, the campaign manager had an idea for me to be McAfee's VP pick. Because I'm really well known in the scene. I've got a lot of love and cred. And here's the thing. Gary Johnson, while he's not that exciting and dynamic of a character, he's got a lot of love and cred in the scene. He's been around a long time. And McAfee's very exciting and dynamic and engaging, but he's not that well known in the scene. He's relatively new to the Libertarian Party and even the Liberty Movement. He's lived a libertarian lifestyle longer than pretty much all of us have been alive. He's had a very anti-authority attitudes from very, very, very young age. He's read something about Thoreau's book about you own your life and you own your body, and that stuck with him very long. So he's had a libertarian philosophy for his entire life. Now, but the problem is that he's not very well known in the scene. So that the idea of the campaign manager was that I could be a boost to his campaign, and blew my mind when I was asked. I have no political aspirations. In fact, I'm very politically incorrect. I'm political suicide for pretty much anybody except for McAfee. With McAfee, I'm the chaser. He's the hard alcohol.
Wow.
So, it's like, and he's just cool. He's like giving me so much leeway. I'm allowed to be off message with him. That's amazing. We've discussed this. If we have a difference of opinion on something, it's only love, and it's an opportunity to learn from our differences. I can speak freely. I'm not going to be some plastic puppet politician. I'm just going to be me. And the truth is, both McAfee and I are thoroughly nauseated from the generic political plastic we're all consuming. We want to do something very different. So we're the unconventional candidates because politics sucks. It's dying. I think we need to let politics die so it can be reborn. The way we know things right now, nobody loves it. So let's reimagine this. And that's what we're trying to do with this campaign.
Wow.
Well,
no, that's
what's going to happen to the rest of the Muppets,
though? Yeah. Well,
yeah. Well,
we can find some ditch
let
they can dig.
like people buy plastic figurines and they enjoy them, but I think market's going down for that, and the market's coming up for something authentic. I think that explains a lot about Trump and Bernie. Trump, I I consider him to be an extremely dangerous, scary person in a lot of ways, but he's also an inspiration in certain ways too. He is just disregarded the way things are done, and he says whatever he wants, and he speaks plainly, and that's very refreshing to people. Problem I have with Trump is not exactly his attitude as much as he's completely ignorant on this stuff. He doesn't know what he's talking about, and he's never going to read these books and really digest it. He's just a guy with strong opinions from a very ignorant place, and that's very scary when you're going to be controlling a political apparatus.
It sounds like he's pretty full of hate too, so
Yes,
that's not good.
Right. So Bernie is also a guy that's very genuine and authentic, and he's winning hearts and minds.
Tony, hold on.
But Clinton is like squashed him from playing the muscle game, and that worked for the Democratic Party because they need to play it safe. Maybe they've got something to lose. The Libertarian Party right now has somewhat of a Bernie versus Hillary situation going on right now between us and the Johnson campaign. Johnson's playing the muscle game, and we're winning hearts and minds. We're getting a lot of people.
Well, would you say, Judd, would you say Austin Peterson is more or less the John Kasich of the race?
I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, he is quite
Peterson.
pompous.
Peterson's coming from a different place. But right now, we have like a Bernie versus Hillary situation going on, and the difference is that the Libertarian Party is full of ideologues. These are intellectuals. And not only that, we are nothing. We have nothing to lose. There is no reason to be playing it safe right now. None. And a lot of people want to play it safe, but like, look, we're not going to get these Midwest housewives anyway. Don't worry about whether McAfee will turn some of these
They're
people.
hard to get, I got to tell you.
In fact, McAfee is definitely going to turn some people off, and we're going to play that up for all that it's possibly worth. Not only is he going to turn people off, we're going to be creating a lot of outrages and then pouring gasoline on all those fires that we can to create a media sensation. That's part of our plan. Not only is it going to be turning people off, we're hoping that they go to the streets with protests and picket signs. That would be great. We'll send media and cameras on that. We hope that that happens. So while people are worried that McAfee might turn people off, we're banking on it because we're not going after the general public. We're going after youth in a big way. This is a protest campaign and a publicity campaign. And we're going to be doing a lot of things that are absolutely not okay, but totally okay by libertarian standards.
I definitely think this is the year for the millennials and the younger generation. That's because it's. I mean, if you've seen with Sanders and Trump, that they've really many of those younger generations have came out of the woodworks that have never even thought about being part of a political system at all. Participating in a voting system. So I think this is a great opportunity for the.
Yeah, you're right. Half the population doesn't vote.
Yeah.
That's a majority right there. If you're right. Not that you're going to tap them, but that's
you're right,
true.
Tony. It's a great time to educate the populace.
Right.
And it's not just about elections come and go.
Right.
But if we're just winning elections and not learning why we're winning, why they're important, then are we really growing as people, or are we just diverting back into?
I think Ron Paul did something absolutely incredible. Ron Paul. To back up, I'm in business. I'm an entrepreneur, and people come to me with business ideas all the time, talking about how great the potential of their ideas. And that's great, but I don't give a damn about potential. Potential is nice. I care about how much of that potential you can actualize. That's what really matters. And if you look at Ron Paul, he was a quirky old guy leading with End the Fed. Not a lot of potential there. However, hats off to him. He went so far. They bust their ass. They hustled, and they got out there in a big way in 2008, and then took that and moved it way further in 2012. Absolutely incredible. I think he squeezed every drop of potential he actualized every drop of potential he possibly could. And really amazing. I think McAfee has higher potential to connect with a lot more people than Ron Paul could.
Well, and let me just
how
raise
much of that we actualize depends on hustle and how much support we can generate.
And Judd, let me raise this too. What's very unique about your guys' campaign is the fact that you and McAfee are talking about cybersecurity. No other candidate in this whole election is talking about, cyber anything,
Right.
And the future of technology. I think that is so key, and not only for the future and our security, but that also speaks to as Tony mentioned earlier, the millennial language and terms. I know so many gamers in my life. I'm not a gamer, but so many gamers, people are so tech savvy, And it's actually really refreshing to hear a candidate like McAfee and yourself actually talk about those issues with technology and cybersecurity.
You know, people are getting a little concerned when he talks about cyber warfare. What's really going on is we all know about this. China is paying for hackers that are hacking not just our government infrastructure sites and stuff, but they're hacking businesses, and not just in America, they're hacking government and business operations around the world. And it's not just China. Iran's doing this, Russia's doing this. We had a big blow up over possibly North Korea hacking over that movie, The Interview. Do you remember that?
Which is awesome, by the way. Funny.
Right. So this stuff is starting to really come to the forefront. This is like a new battleground, and it's not just one country hacking the infrastructure of another country. Cybersecurity is becoming a bigger thing as we become more engaged online, and it's never been my issue really, but McAfee's been opening my eyes to this in a big way, and yes, it's becoming much more important. And there is nobody who's a bigger name in the cybersecurity field than John McAfee, who created the antivirus industry and is a cybersecurity legend. So yeah, he's a great person to have bring insight and ability to handle this situation, because this is his world. He eats, breathes, and sleeps cybersecurity, and he's looking at what's going on with these Chinese hackers, and he just can't believe that most people are not paying attention to this, and this is really serious. When they take over like a dam and they allow that to flood, or when they take over people's cars, we now seen people take control another person's car. We've seen somebody was able to, from their seat in an airplane through the infotainment system, affect the flight of the plane and hack into the cockpit controls. That actually did happen, and now that person who just did it to as a white hat opportunity. White hat means a good hacker, to show that these flaws exist. Now he had to go on the run because the government wants to arrest him for.
And to add to your point, Judd, in the news now, this hacker across overseas named Guccifer said he hacked into Hillary Clinton's emails, and he read every single one of them about her selling diplomacy to all these other countries and dictators that invested money into the Clinton Foundation. So we see the hacking going on all around us, and you can even make a case. Because you said they hacked into a car or an airplane, that's what was rumored to kill what killed Michael Hastings a few years back when he was trying to escape from L.A. If you recall that story too. So the hacking and the cybersecurity is so prevalent, I think more than ever,
especially around our power infrastructure, electricity and whatnot. It's a legitimate issue.
I think a lot of people don't think about it because like my first thought right out the gate, okay, I don't like that. That needs attention, but what can I do? Nothing. I'm just a guy living here. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And I think a lot of people have that problem with many things in life. What can
I want my electricity to work. I don't want somebody to take out the power grid for California. That would be really upsetting.
But I mean, what can people me who feel, well, that's important, but I don't pay attention because what can I do against it?
Well, McAfee is offering a solution there.
Well,
that's a great answer. I mean, because vote somebody into office who knows how to take care of those things,
right?
Yeah.
And I think
who's going to inform us about it.
That's the key. And we only have about 3 more minutes left, and I hate to say that this time has flown. I mean, flown by.
It was fun.
Yeah, and I'd love to have you back again as we get closer to the general election. It would be fun to get your take on how.
Right,
it's
coming up in Judd. Isn't the nomination process coming up this month?
And the end of this month, Memorial Day weekend in Orlando. We need delegates. So if anybody's interested in coming out there, we're gonna plan something. I'm known for throwing good parties. You won't believe what we're planning. I'm hoping to announce this next week.
You said this is Orlando?
Yes, Orlando. The night before the actual vote in Orlando, we're throwing a huge party. It's going to be amazing, and we're going to do something that's going to violate a lot of rules in politics. Politics has never seen what we're planning.
Wow!
It's going to be amazing.
Text me the address.
Yeah, can you send us the link for the free airline tickets to go?
Yeah. So our site, our campaign site, is called bealibertarian.com. Bealibertarian.com. If you click take action, you'll see be a delegate. and that'll give you the information on how to become a delegate. Well, if you're a warm body that's willing to be in Orlando over Memorial Day weekend, we can seat you on the convention and you can vote. 2, we need volunteers. We've got a lot of people that are volunteering now, and it's picking up. We got like 40 volunteers the other day, just in one day. And we need some donations as well. McAfee is not the Trump that people thought he was. He doesn't have that kind of money. So every little bit helps right now, and we need all the help we can get because we want to do some amazing things. And find me on Facebook, Judd Weiss. I'm on Instagram. I post a lot of photos there as well. Judd Weiss is just my Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. It's all the same. Judd Weiss, one word.
Well, we thank you so much, and this has been a treat. This has been a pleasure because I've always loved politics, even though it's a crazy
Even though it sucks, it's kind
it
of
does. It sucks. I mean, I was a sports person growing up, so to me, it's just like a big sporting event.
Yeah.
And really, that's all it is.
Hollywood Squares.
We're turning the foosball table and we're tilting it. So
That's
now
right.
nobody knows how to play anymore, and we're just going to play it differently.
All right. Well, we thank you so much. Please go to the website. Give us one more time so people can donate and be a part of the Libertarian.
BeALibertarian.com.
Perfect. And go to hustlebear.com for your website. And I can't wait to see some of these videos you were talking about on YouTube.
Yeah, check them out on YouTube. Just if you search Judd Weiss, John McAfee, they'll come up.
Perfect. All right, guys. Well, if you just tuned in or tuned in halfway through, please check out this video. It's going to be on YouTube and on our iHeartRadio page. You can listen to the podcast. We really appreciate you guys every week joining us. Thank you, Dean Ryan, for being here, as always.
Wonderful.
And Elvis, thank you for tuning in one more time with us.
Absolutely.
And for yours, tell us one more time where people can go and donate for yourself.
It's mythpla.org, mythpla.org.
Yeah, and we need some money for both Libertarian Party and the tiny home. So make sure you guys stick around for Shar Vision right after this, but check out our website at truthbetoldwebtv.com, and we have, I think next week, we have Roger Stone coming on the show.
And a surprise guest, and it's going to be an incredible show. I'd encourage everyone to tune in.
I think you should.
Yeah.
All right, we're out of here. Truth Be Told,
All right.
Tony and Eddie. Thanks, Judd. Appreciate it. Till next time. Bye.